Welcome to Elimu TV, a station where you watch and learn. This is our history class, and we are still on the topic trade. And today's class will get to the trans-Saharan trade, and it is your teacher, Rajab Wichira. Now, before we begin today's class, can someone get to tell us what we learned our last class? Good. We did introduce trans-Saharan trade, and we looked at a number of factors that facilitated the development of trans-Saharan trade. Now, what do we expect in our today's class? In our today's class, we will get to look at how was the trans-Saharan trade organized. And again, what are some of those trade goods that were used during the trans-Saharan trade? Now, to start, can we get to look at how it was organized? Trans-Saharan trade was organized by large caravans. What is a caravan? These were hundreds of camels and traders. They were always in large numbers. That is what we call a caravan. So it is a caravan of traders. So they could organize in hundreds, thousands of camels and traders. Now, these traders were to engage the services of the Tuareg and the Berber guides. And remember, in our last class, we looked at who are the Berber and Tuareg traders. These were the wealthy merchants from the north. Now, the trans-Saharan trade, it was organized in caravans of camels and traders, and also it will be assisted by the Tuareg and Berber merchants who could always show them the way across the desert. Can we get to look at the trade goods that were used during the trade? And always as trade, they could have trade goods. What are some of these trade goods that were used in the trans-Saharan trade? One, we had gold. We had gold. As you can see, we had gold. Gold was precious. It was one precious item of trade, and it could measure. It was a measure of wealth in the trade. Another trade item, we had cowrie shells. Cowrie shells were also used as trade item. We also had ivory, and ivory was always gotten from West Africa, in the southern part of Cote d'Ivoire. That was ivory. Then also we had kola nuts. Kola nuts were gotten from also West Africa. Then we had slaves, as you can see there. Those people tied in logs, right? Or rather in chains. Those are the slaves. The slaves were gotten from Central Africa, right? Those were some of the items of trade. Now, we have looked at the trade goods, which were gold, which were slaves, which were kola nuts. Then we also had ivory as the items of trade. But also, remember, we said earlier that this trans-Saharan trade, it was trade that linked Africa and the Asian world. Now, what are some of these trade items that were gotten from the north, right? And what are some of these trade items that were gotten from West Africa? So we can note that we had salt. Salt was obtained from the north, right? And gold was gotten from West Africa. So let us look at our storyboard. We have a storyboard there. You can see two people. Then we can see in the first storyboard, we can see a white crystal-like thing, right? Then in the second storyboard, you can see a golden-like precious item, right? Those are now the trade items. Now we can notice that salt was gotten from the north, as we said earlier. Salt was gotten from the north, from a place we call Tagaza, from the north. Now, they could trade it with gold from West Africa. Now, gold was available in West Africa. Now, they will need to get salt from North Africa. Now, you can see two people taking part in trade. They are getting to negotiate, right? Look at the person from the West Africa. He is saying that here we have got enough gold. Can you give us salt? Because salt was not available in West Africa. Now, those are some of the trade items, both from the north and also from West Africa. Now, can we get to try some of these questions? One, can we get to look at what were the work of the Turk chiefs? And just to remind you, the Turk chiefs were also the Berber and Tuareg merchants. What were some of the work of the Turk chiefs in the desert? And also name 2 trade goods that were obtained from the north. For your reference, can we get to refer to Evolving World, History and Government, Students Book, Form 2. That is all for today, and see you in the next class. Thank you.